This is TWiT.
That's a story this week. I thought everybody was making record profits. Google just laid off a whole bunch of people. Twitch just laid off 35% of their team. Amazon just laid off people in the MGM and Amazon Prime division. I thought we were done with the layoffs.
There were a lot of deferred layoffs because companies didn't want to heap on what was already a really bad year. So
they just said, well, hang on, we'll fire them in 6 months.
Well, they were wondering if maybe some of the divisions would turn around. There were some redundancies that they didn't eliminate right away. Honestly, there were some products and services that failed and they were hoping would turn around and just didn't. So this is not a surprise. And it's not like the people who were let go are now destitute. They do have skills that other companies are going to want. But yeah, those companies were a little overstaffed in some very specific areas.
Microsoft has pretty much held the line, right? They had layoffs end of last year.
Yes, they had 3 rounds. I think 3.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. In the video game market, same thing. A lot of gaming studios have been laying off people.
Yeah, Unity just laid off a huge number. I mean, look, when you say Google laid off a few hundred people, it sounds like, well, God, out of how many hundreds of thousands of employees, that's not huge. But every single person, that's a heartbreaker for. I know we've had to lay off people ourselves.
And these are companies that historically have just absolutely grown like crazy.
Is that the problem?
And so I think... Yeah. I think a huge part of this is that these companies vastly overhired during the pandemic. And they have said as much and are still pushing past this. I mean, if you rewind to mid 2020, it was like nothing is ever going to be the same again. Zoom is about to be the biggest company in the history of the universe.
Right.
Like this was the stuff, right? And there was this big belief that nobody was ever going to go back to the office and we were going to sort of rewrite the rules of what it meant to be a person online. And then everybody realized that actually kind of sucks for a whole bunch of reasons. And most people went back to the office and started hanging out with their friends in real life because that's more fun than doing it on the internet. And a lot of things just sort of crested back to normal. And I think you saw these companies go backwards in a big way, really at the beginning of 2023, when it became obvious that those trends were not going to stay. And I think we're still seeing that stuff linger. And especially now as these companies are all in on AI. AI is really expensive to run. It's really expensive to hire against. It requires new skills and new teams. You're seeing these companies say anything we're doing that isn't AI and doesn't print money for us is no longer worth investing our time and energy and money in because everybody is so all in on AI. And I think many of them will be wrong and they'll end up laying off a lot of these people again. But this seems to be this next turn that we're in right now.
Well, so that's the question is how much do you read into this in terms, for instance, the co-founders of Fitbit are leaving Google. A bunch of Fitbit people are leaving Google. Does that mean that the Fitbit category is a failure? Or that Google's just consolidating? They built in a lot of the features into the Pixel Watch.
That one I can actually say pretty confidently is the second thing. Google bought Fitbit to speed up its work on the Pixel Watch. Fitbit was always a really good brand and not that good a company. And Google, after Apple figured out that the Apple Watch's main thing was health and fitness, Google went, oh crap, if we're going to compete in this space, we have to do health and fitness, and decided that rather than build that capacity from scratch, buying Fitbit was a quick shortcut to get there. And so I think this was always coming. I'm a little surprised Google didn't manage this particular transition better over the last 18 months or so, but I was not surprised. At all surprised. No.
Well, also
nothing Google does organizationally ever surprises me.
Louise Matsakis writing
AR stuff.
Go ahead. AR stuff.
I was going to say they have their like AR stuff where they pull back on AR, which
who hasn't pulled back on AR? Everybody's pulled back.
They bought North years ago,
right?
And it was like the one company I wanted. I wanted those.
They had
glasses.
A good product.
I was about to buy them.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, Google bought them, so maybe they'll come out with a product. And now it's like, what? They just nuked it all, and like we're never going to get anything like that.
We reviewed them. Anthony loved them. Anthony Nielsen loved his North glasses, I think. I mean, I hope I'm not putting words in your mouth, Anthony, but I seem to remember, yeah, they're gone. Louise Matsakis, writing for Semaphore, said Google also laid off hundreds working on Google Voice. No, that's an AI thing. So is that like Fitbit, a consolidation of these teams into under some other umbrella, David, or is
that one? I think is pretty clearly Google saying we've been down the wrong road with Google Assistant for a decade. Bard is the future.
Yeah.
AI LLMs are the future. This Gemini model is the future, and we need to pivot all of the stuff we're doing underneath Assistant to be an AI project more than all the other stuff that they've been doing with Assistant.
Not Google Voice. I don't want to scare people who use Google Voice numbers. The Google Voice Assistant.
That's
what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I mean, Google Voice is perpetually on the edge of death anyway. So
I was going to say, we're all waiting for that one to die.
I'll be sad when that happens, but not surprised.
I'm waiting for them to restart Hangouts and move us back over to Hangouts, then back to Voice. Actually, they're pivoting to a brand new messaging app, an AI messaging app.
No, they aren't.
People don't
Are you making that up?
I'm completely making that up.
Actually, Google
sure
Voice
that's
is
true,
kept
though.
alive by the fact that the Google Fi uses that.
That's right.
As their number porting system and as their messaging system. So I think Voice might survive because unless Google Fi dies. Oh well.
Don't say
I'm really
that.
depressed.
Don't speak that into existence.
Oh, you just put that into the universe.
Ixnay on the iFay.
No.
I wrote a story about Google Keep not that long ago, the note-taking app.
I love Keep.
And it had gotten a couple of new features, and there were a bunch of people who were like, oh, what a great app. I love Google Keep. And then overwhelmingly, our commenters said, don't write about Google Keep. It'll remind Google that it exists, and they'll kill it. Don't do it.
What they don't know won't hurt them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's just like one Googler preventing Keep from being killed.